For this question, most of you know that you need to use the concept of regressive test to answer the question. And the regressive test, of course, will widen the income gap, and this will affect the low income group more. And level 1 answer. So some of you explain why this is regressive test in this way. You said that the increase in the fuel price of the low income people is larger than the increase in the fuel price of high income people. My question is, if these two groups of people purchase the same amount of fuel, would the low income group actually pay more than the high income group? Let me ask you again. With the fuel test, when these two groups of people purchase the same amount of fuel, would the low income group pay a larger amount than the high income group? Actually not. They pay the same amount of test. They pay the same fuel price, right? When they purchase the same amount of fuel. And that's why I can't say that the low income group pay more. They actually pay the same amount, right? No matter who purchases it, they pay the same amount. And that's why this is not correct. Don't mention something like that. Don't say that the low income people pay more. And some of you did pay better. You said that they pay actually the same amount. But to the low income people, so this is more significant, right? Then you said something like that in your mock practice. The percentage increase in the fuel price for the low income people is larger than percentage increase in the fuel price of high income people. This is not correct neither. Because when we have a rise in the fuel test, the price will of course increase. Say for example, initially you paid $100 to buy the fuel. Now the test increases. Maybe you have to pay $110 to buy the fuel. Then the price of course will increase by $10, right? Or 10%. And then for low income group, they pay 10% more. For high income group, they also pay 10% more, right? Then the percentage increase in the price is just the same for all people because they pay the same price, right? If the price increases by 10% for these two groups of people, the percentage increase in the price is 10%, right? For both of them. And that's why I can't say that the percentage increase in price for the low income people is larger. This is not correct neither. But a little bit better than level 1. Then some of you did a little bit better and wrote down something like this in level 3's answer. So what you wrote down is the proportion of low income group is larger than the proportion of high income group. Well, when I read this, I don't really understand what it means. So what does it mean by proportion of low income group? So say for example, proportion means like 30%, 40%. We have a ratio, right? 40%, 40%. What does it mean by 30% of low income group? 一個人嘅30%，乜嘢係一個人嘅30%? I don't really understand what it means, right? And this is not correct. What does it mean? So then some of you did a little bit better and wrote down level 4's answer. So you know that this is about the proportion of low income groups income, right? 我哋係講緊嗰啲人嘅收入佔嗰啲人收入係幾多 percent， 唔係嗰啲人嘅幾多個 percent 啊嘛。So some of you did better. You said that the increase in the fuel price takes a higher proportion of low income groups' income. So this is much better. I'm not talking about the proportion of a human being, but the proportion of their income. So this is much better. But I won't give full marks even if you wrote down level 4's answer. Why I won't give you full marks? Because you need to somehow explain why it takes a higher proportion. You need to explain why it takes a higher proportion. So then how can you explain? Because somehow actually all groups of people pay the same amount to buy the same amount of fuel, right? Pay the same amount of tax. And then to the low income group, so this amount of tax takes a higher proportional of their income. And that's why somehow you need to explain why the proportion is higher by saying that all people pay the same amount of tax for purchasing the same amount of fuel. So because of this, then the tax will be more significant to the low income groups, to the low income group.